record. We're gonna have a crazy one, a crazy episode here on episode 49 of the Block to Block podcast, the best podcast in the world for all things Web3. Here we break down the technology, what's going on in the market, and the ways in which you can benefit. I am NFT and Jai.
And I am Web3 Wayne.
And over here to talk is different.
And y'all know the talk that stay the same every week. This podcast is for informational purposes only. By no means is this financial advice, and by all means, you should consult a financial advisor or any other financial professional. And with that, make sure you are protecting your cheese, cheddar, mozzarella, provolone. Now we can get the show started.
Let's get it started. I'll say this just for the listeners, my usual debonair voice has been impacted by a summer cold. So if you hear me sniffle a little bit, I'll try to go on mute when I can. Or if I sound a little bit groggy, it's not because I'm upset about being on Block to Block. It's only because I have a common cold. But
Boy, I
what is
got the
not common
sniffles.
is the gems that you receive on this podcast that you won't get
Yes.
on any other podcast in the world. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share about with all your loved ones. But before we get into the stories, though, I do want to give a special shout out to our partners out here in Philly for a dope showcase that we had. Shout out to BBEX and shout out to the corporate creative and all the creators as well. We had a packed out event in which we had over, I want to say 10 different creatives just showcasing their work, all different mediums, all different, just diverse and inspiring artworks, and a packed out crowd of easily over 100 people, all types of professionals within the Philadelphia community who was there just to like network, vibe, and enjoy the art. So shout out to everybody who was a part and partial of making that event a huge resounding success, like super success. There's been some great conversations in the works just because of that one showcase. So just
Yeah.
give a moment to, we'd be remiss if we start off the podcast without acknowledging our good partners.
Yes. Shout out to the partners. Shout out to the artists, man. The artists had some dope artwork, man. It was, we had everything from mixed media to paintings to photography. Man, I was honestly blown away by just the amount of beautiful artwork that we had, the amount of, amazing conversations, right? Like we had a lot of beautiful, Black people in there that's just doing the thing. You know what I'm saying? They're,
Mhm.
they're doing it and doing it big. They're doing it and doing it well. So it was just an honor for us to be a part of creating a space where people like that can come together in the great city of Philadelphia. Of course, in the TNJ, roams the streets of Philly. And I always enjoy coming out to Philly and just experiencing, everything that city has to offer. So another thing, another notch under my belt in terms of, experiencing what Philly is and the people of Philly. And it was, beautiful Black experience to say the least. So shout
Absolutely.
out, shout out to BBEX, shout out to the
Mhm.
corporate creative, shout out to the P4 Hub, shout out to the good people, shout out to Suleiman, shout out to Barbara.
Mhm.
It was a great event for sure.
Absolutely, man. We told you we was going to be outside all summer long,
Yes.
all year
And
long outside, honestly.
all year long. And a consequence of that is we might have left y'all hanging for a show or two. I'm gonna take that charge that is absolutely on your boy right here. Listen, without NFT and Jai, this show does not live on. So we're gonna continue to give him his flowers on these shows. And just shout out to the Block team, the whole
Absolutely.
production team, aka is really on the NFT and Jai. So that's the amazing part about it. Shout out to him, shout out to all that he does on top of all the things that he does for Timbuktu. Make sure y'all check that out. TheTimbuktu.com. Of course, we're gonna shameless plug as always.
Always
Uh, yep, link in the description below. Below.
be low.
But
And
well, oh yeah,
oh,
go ahead. Go ahead,
Oh
go ahead.
my
I was gonna get us
God.
into it. I was gonna get us.
I was gonna intro you in, brother. You know, I had to
Okay.
make sure
All right.
we give you, you know, that we give a good foundation or a good base for you to talk about just some of the biggest news that is happening within Web3, in
Okay.
particular with Coinbase.
Mm, what's going on with our good brethren over there at Coinbase? Well, you're wondering. Big talk of the town this year has been L2s, and for good reason, right? L2s are really seen as the way that blockchain and everything that comes with it, crypto, NFTs, DAOs, the metaverse. Layer twos are really seen as the solution that's going to onboard more users and make Web3 more accessible and user friendly as we step into this new age of the internet. And so Coinbase has they've thrown their fighter into the ring. They've thrown themselves into this new space when it comes to the blockchain and Web3 era that's really ushering in, right? And this comes with their platform Base by Coinbase, which is actually set to launch publicly tomorrow, August 9th. So we're shooting this on Tuesday, August 8th. It will be live tomorrow, August 9th. So big news over there at Coinbase. And they've actually opened this up last month, beginning of July, if I'm not mistaken. They opened it up to developers and people who are building right on the blockchain. And really what they want Base to be is this layer two solution that offers a safe, low cost, developer friendly way to build on chain. Right? It's built on Optimism OP Stack, making it one of the most secure, scalable EVM layer twos out there. And just to break down some of the jargon there, right? When we talk about L2s, we're talking about a layer two. And a layer two is a blockchain that is built on top of another underlying blockchain, right? So a lot of times you have your Bitcoin, you have your Ethereum, you have your Solana. And what has come to pass is that there is a bottleneck issue when it comes to the processing of transactions on those blockchains. So what has happened is we have now the advent of layer twos or L2s that are built on top of those main blockchains, those mainnet blockchains, which allows for more transactions to be processed, which allows for lower transaction fees, and subsequently, which allows for just a better overall experience for not only builders, but also users as well. So as we stated, Coinbase is, they're stepping into the ring here with their platform Base. And so far, Base has seen over 68 million worth of Ether bridged to the network and over 200 million in trading volume and transactions. Thanks to the meme coin like Bald, which is surging and later plummeted. But Bald was tradable through Lead Swap, which is a decentralized exchange, which is built on top of Base's blockchain, right? And so, as you can see there, that's kind of what you see when you talk about, these Web3 projects, right? You have the project that's really interfacing with the users. We have these platforms or dApps, right? So they can be decentralized exchange, like a lead swap, like an OpenSea, and of course you have your blockchain, which here is Base. So it's really amazing to see Base in such a short time, right? A month, not even being necessarily publicly available just yet to build on, has already seen over $68 million worth of Ether bridged over into the network, and a lot of trading volume and transactions going on already,
Yep.
right? And really the goal of Base is to be, again, easy to use. You're going to hear that a lot when it comes to Web3. I would say as we blast into the future, right? see that, this is a dope technology that at this point, maybe some people may debate it, but when it comes to people that are building, when it comes to people that are thinking about innovation in the future, blockchain and crypto and everything that comes with it is already seen as one of these technologies that's going to change how we interface with each other, how we interface with the internet, how we interface with everyday life. And now the focus is for it to become easy to use, right? So on the developer side, we want developers to be able to easily spin up innovative ideas, innovative platforms, what we call dApps, right? Decentralized applications. Basically, everything that you expect from an application, plus this element of decentralization, whether it's, being able to vote on different changes or being able to maintain ownership of an asset without a centralized platform. You really have these dApps that are more so vehicles of moving assets around than, being the actual authentication
Mhm.
center, right? So that's, what we're moving towards, and that's really what we're seeing Base step into, the ballpark and arena for, right?
Right.
Um,
I know a couple of things
yeah,
I do want to bring up about base are like
yeah,
some cool like key features, right? Like one
okay,
you mentioned, the ability for users of base to like really transfer their assets from like Ethereum over to base, right? Which we have been seeing with like these hundreds of millions of like ether or like crypto assets being moved over. And
yeah,
then another two other things as well, like Base doesn't have its own cryptocurrency token, right? It doesn't have its own token.
right,
And that's very important because oftentimes when we see blockchains, a key component is having that token, right? And that token being really a means to like incentivize transactions or like validations or adding new blocks to the said blockchain, right?
yep,
So I did
yep,
want to like talk a bit about like some of the key pros and cons of there not being a token associated with Base. But even before
okay,
that, also, Base is really looking to be super decentralized, as we talked about. A lot of times, like, there's like a critique of, well, how can we ensure that this blockchain can be decentralized if we have like a central authority being Coinbase, a private entity who is behind its development? But
yep,
that kind of goes back to the fact like there isn't a token within base. So some of the like the key pros and cons of not having a token is like one, it becomes less complex in terms of like that whole blockchain ecosystem because we don't have to developers don't have to account for tokenomics and knowing like what's the process for acquiring said tokens, managing
yep,
them. We also see like a reduced risk of speculation because sometimes when it comes to like tokens that are associated with a blockchain, you know, they may be like certain plays or even rug pulls or activity that's like there to spike up the price or a lot of speculative activity, which it doesn't really do justice for like that long-term sustainability of said token, right? And then
yeah,
going back to like finally the last pro would be like the decentralization, right? We see an increased rate of decentralization, if you will, because unlike other blockchain networks, like let's say an Ethereum, for example, where the majority of the tokens are being bought up by like these crypto whales, these institutions, or wealthy individuals, that doesn't exist in this play because there's no token to be acquired. So those are like just some of the key pros, if you will, when it comes to the fact like there is no token associated with base. Um,
yeah.
there are some cons as well, but look through and you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I mean, those were good pros. I think there's definitely some things you have to watch out with that as well, right? Like there is an element of decentralization, but at the end of the day, Coinbase is kind of the big dog, overseer, overwatcher. of everything on that base network. So we see, and I think it goes back to really understand decentralization, right? And
Hmm.
decentralization is not necessarily that there is no, central party, there isn't no central figure, um, but rather that there's these multiple different pockets of centralization, right?
Right.
That's kind of spread over, as well as some interconnections between those different pods of centralized decentralization, right? And I think that's what you have here, especially when you talk about a DApp, right? Or multiple DApps. So you have lead swap, but you might also have a base swap, and then you have, swap base, right? And these are all platforms that allow for you to exchange cryptocurrency, right? Or maybe it's CBDCs or what have you. But the good thing about it is that whatever you have on lead swap, you can also trade that on base swap and swap base, right? So it really allows for you as the user to just have more power, and have some flexibility when it comes to the ownership of that digital asset versus you think about a bank account right now, right? Or you think about a Robinhood right now. There's no way for you to get things from Robinhood to Stash, right? There's no way for them to track that unless you connect Robinhood to Stash, right? Through this blockchain technology, the underlying you know technology or the underlying just incentive of the blockchain is that those platforms are connected through a common ledger, and they pull from that ledger. They don't own that ledger. Anybody can go and look at that ledger outside of those platforms as well. Other people can build on that ledger. So let's say all three of those platforms go down, somebody can build another platform and pull that information, can pull that digital asset out from that blockchain. And I think that's really a big deal, as we move into the future and continue to interact with those layer twos and those blockchains. So just something to note there.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very interesting time because, as we mentioned all the time in this podcast, right? This technology is very revolutionary. However, it's still very early. So a lot of things
Yes.
from an infrastructure perspective has still not been built out yet. And we're really in the advent of seeing how infrastructure would play a key point in really shaping the Web3 and blockchain experience. So
Yeah.
seeing moves like what Coinbase is doing is actually very strategic. First, they come in and become an authority when it comes to actual cryptocurrency and crypto trading, right? Like, when you go to Coinbase, you're able to like do things like their learn to earn program where you can like learn about crypto. They have all these initiatives to like onboard more developers, right? They've been they even have this crypto summer, or I forget the term, but this summer initiative with like popular brands like a Coca-Cola in order to like
Yeah.
make crypto in particular and Web3 more accessible and more friendly from like a marketing perspective. So they've been building up this authority. They're like the number two player when it comes to cryptocurrency trading. You know,
Yeah. On
you have
chain summer. On chain summer. That's what it
on-chain
is.
summer. Thank you. Thank you. They've been working to onboard more developers. They've been working to onboard um, Web 2 or non Web 3 natives, if you will, like regular people. And now they have their own blockchain, their own layer 2 solution, which is supposedly meant to be easy to be used for developers, where a lot of projects can be used. And we're seeing like crypto assets being moved onto the base blockchain network. Don't be surprised if they got more initiatives on the way, or to like really solidify their stance as a critical organization when it comes to the infrastructure and like really the domination of all things Web3, right?
Yeah,
We're seeing a lot of high level chess being played across the board, and that's why it's important that you watch every episode of Block to Block because
absolutely.
we cover these stories and we break down the chess for you.
So remember, like, comment, subscribe, share with your loved ones. They definitely need this free game, Web3 game. Um, and there's more stories to come. This, Coinbase is a player in the game right now. And they've been doing things for years. They've been building up to this.
Yeah.
So gotta keep your ear to the streets, good peoples. Keep your ears to the streets.
To every block to block, man, block to block. But with that, I think we're at a good spot right now with today's show, right? We just want to really focus on the base blockchain network that's coming out. We're going to cover it again later on this week, the day after it officially launches, along with some other stories as well. But, we did want to like just come in and give you guys something to look out for as we see these major news within the market. So we
Yeah.
appreciate you guys as usual. Anything else you want to leave the people with through Wayne?
The last thing I'll bring to everybody's attention before we hop off is use the experience, use the experience, use the experience. Make sure you put the customer first, no matter if you're building Web 2, or whether you building Web 3, whether you building, clothing brand. Make sure you putting the users first. And that's what we're seeing here with Coinbase base, and love what they're doing in terms of their platform, and leveraging what they already have to expand the offering, and find ways to get more people involved. So with that, Block to Block gang is checking out for this episode. I am Web3 Wayne.
And I'm NFT and Jai. Peace.